Hello and welcome everybody to the English grammar lesson level advanced. If you are new here, welcome again. If you will enjoy today's lesson, do not to forget to log in next Thursday at 11 o'clock. But before that, visit our website where you can find all the scheduled online lessons and online meetings. If you sign in and become a guest of our educational website, you can get all the materials that we use on the lessons and as well recordings of past online lessons and recordings of past online meetings. Teledem.online, that's our website, so visit it. There is only one rule to follow and to remember, and that is that today's lesson is an open lesson. So if you don't understand or want me to translate a word or a phrase, do not hesitate to stop me anytime and I will be happy to go back. So let's jump on today's topic, and that is phrasal verbs. Today's lesson is already fourth lesson in a series of 5 lessons dedicated to the huge, big grammar part, and that is phrasal verbs. If you missed previous lessons and you want to catch up, visit our website and become a guest, and you can get the materials and recordings as well. But let's quickly review what are phrasal verbs. They are very common and they are used in abundance. That means they're used a lot in informal spoken conversation or spoken English, or as well informal written English. So you can almost come across or see them or hear them almost daily. So what is a phrasal verb? Phrasal verb always consists of a main verb, just a regular simple verb, with an adverb or preposition. We call it a particle. An adverb and preposition is a particle. And we put it together and then we have a phrasal verb. Phrasal verb provides an action in a sentence. So just like any other sentence, verb provides an action and phrasal verb provides an action. One thing for you to remember and really understand it is that when we put the main verb and the particle together, the verb phrase takes on a new meaning. Phrasal verbs can have more than one, more than two, and sometimes even more than 3 meanings. So we could say that phrasal verbs have literal meaning and sometimes idiomatic meaning. So what is it? So let's look at the example of phrasal verb break down. Literal meaning of a phrasal verb break down is when a machine stops working. So let's say my car broke down on our way home. So the machine stopped working. But we have another meaning, idiomatic meaning, and that is to cry, to really cry heavily. So let's say she wasn't chosen for the job, so she broke down. It means she cried a lot. So I want you to remember and really understand it. When we create phrasal verb, we have a main verb and a particle, and we put it together. The phrasal verb takes on a new meaning. And sometimes there are more than one and more than 2 meanings. So that was the introduction to the topic of phrasal verbs. And today we will focus on phrasal verbs with preposition up and preposition down. So let's look at the easiest one or the most common one. Put up something or put something up means physically put something on a wall or put hand up, for example, put a book up on the shelf. So physically you do this motion. The opposite to it would be take something down. So let's say, I didn't like the picture, so I took it down. So I physically took it down. You can take down your hand, for example, or take down book. So remember, that is the opposite. They have opposite meanings. Put something up and take something down. So we could say, at first, I thought I knew the answer, so I put my hand up. But then I realized I didn't know the answer, so I take my hand down. So put up and take down. Another couple of phrasal verb with opposite meaning is pick up something or pick something up and put something down. So this is the literal meaning. Pick something up. So I'm picking up the marker, or there was a letter on the floor. I picked it up and look at it. So you physically take it up, but we say pick it up. The opposite would be put the marker down. Okay, we could say I stopped writing and put down my pen. So pick up and put down. So there is another set of phrasal verbs with opposite meanings. Pick something up and put something down. A third couple is stand up and sit down. So stand up, I'm sure you have already heard this phrasal verb, and the literal meaning is to stand up and stand alone. The opposite would be sit down, or lay down, or bend down. Bend as a simple verb, but when we create a phrasal verb, bend down, we are doing this motion. So I bend down to tie my shoelace. So remember, there is the pair of stand up and sit down, lay down or bend down. And the fourth couple of phrasal verbs with opposite meanings is turn up and turn down. So we can turn something up, let's say music or air condition. So we turn volume up or turn degrees up, or something else if we want to make it go bigger or louder. We want to raise the number. And the opposite would be turn something down. So we can turn down the volume, or we can turn down the air condition, and as well. I can't hear the TV. Can you turn it up? Can you make it louder? Or the opposite would be the oven is too hot. Turn it down to 150 degrees. So make it cooler, really. I will show you more of the meanings for some of these phrasal verbs. So let's move on to the next slide. So remember, put something up and take something down, usually from wall or from the air. So I put my hand up to ask the teacher a question. Or I took down my hand because I forgot the question. So there is the first couple. Put something up and take something down. Next couple of phrasal verbs with opposite meanings is put something down or pick something up. So put down physically, or look at this example sentence. He's putting a few thoughts down on the paper. So really he's writing those thoughts on the paper, but we could say he is putting down some thoughts. Another phrasal verb, pick up or pick something up, have another meaning. We could say pick somebody up as well. pick somebody up. Imagine the situation. He doesn't have his own car, so his mother needs to pick him up. So she drives somewhere and takes him. So pick somebody up as well. You can pick up your kids from school, or you can as well pick up things. So in the example sentence, Wanda came over to pick up her things, to collect, or collect somebody, or collect things. Next set of phrasal verbs, stand up and sit down. I think that's self-explanatory. So stand up, I've been standing up all day, I'm really tired. And the opposite is, I need to sit down, or I need to bend down to take something, or I need to lay down. And the fourth couple of phrasal verb is turn something up and turn something down. With phrasal verb turn up, we could think about not just the volume, but turn up as appear. So look at the example sentence. Don't worry about it. Something will turn up, you will see. In this sentence, we mean it as don't worry about it. Something will appear. You will see it. Something will come up. Something will appear. And as well, turn down. There is another meaning. And if you look at the example sentence, they offered me the job, but I turned it down, really means I refuse it. So there is more than one meaning to phrasal verbs turn up and turn down. Literal one is turn up the volume, or turn down the volume, but turn up as appear, or turn down as refuse. So I'll give you a moment to go through this. And if you have any question, now is the time to ask. If not, let's move on to more phrasal verbs. So very common is to phrasal verb knock down or cut down. So knock down, for example, a building, or knock down some wall, really means to destroy it. Blow down something is to destroy it by wind. Cut down something really means to cut it with scissors or saw. So we could say the meaning, or the general meaning of knock down, cut down, blow down is to destroy it. So let's look at the example sentences. Some old houses were knocked down to make way for the new shopping center. So some old houses were destroyed to make way for the new shopping center. Or a question, why did you cut down the tree in your garden? So why did you cut down using a saw? Very often we can see this phrasal verb in passive form. Passives are not topic for today's lesson, but remember we have passive sentences and active sentences. Active sentence, or just a simple sentence, always has some person or pronoun and the action. So somebody is doing something. But sometimes we don't have the somebody, we don't have the agent, we don't have the person. And therefore, we need to create passive sentence. So to be knocked down is a passive form. So let's say a man was knocked down by a car and taken to hospital. So he was hit by a car and taken to hospital. A third phrasal verb is burn down. So to destroy by fire. Really similar meaning to knock down or blow down is burn down. We were able to put out the fire before the house burned down, before the house was destroyed by fire. Usually, or very often, preposition down, meaning it's getting less or it's going down. So if I say slow down, really means to go more slowly, or slow down your pace, slow down your whatever. You're driving too fast, slow down. So you need to slow down your speed, for example, or calm down, to become calmer or make somebody calmer. So you could say, calm down, there is no point in getting angry, or the baby was crying really hard. It took me a while to calm the baby down. So not just myself calm down, but make somebody to calm down as well. And the third phrasal verb, cut down on something. I want you to really focus on this one because there is another meaning. Not just cut down tree, but cut down on something. Remember the preposition on something means to do something less. So if I say I'm trying to cut down on coffee, I drink too much of it, I'm trying to drink less coffee. Or if you want to lose weight, you need to cut down on sugars, for example. So cut down on something. There is another meaning if you just say cut down tree, but if you use preposition on, cut down on something to do something less. So let's study more examples. Like we said, knock down. I have a wrong sentence. So the building had to be knocked down, or to be knocked down in a passive form. The building had to be knocked down. Then we said burn down, to destroy by fire. During the war, many churches were burned down. Or slow down. Could you slow down the presentation, please? You could say to me. And I would do it more slowly. As well, we said calm down. So teacher told me to calm down a bit if I was very energetic, let's say, or to calm somebody down, to make somebody calmer. And the last is cut down on something. So remember, cut down on something is to do something less often. If you want to lose weight, it is better to cut down on carbs. Now I want you to stop for a while, go through all of these phrasal verbs and create your own sentence and write it in a chat box. You can find the chat box over here. So just write your sentence using these phrasal verbs. Knock down, to be knocked down, burn down, slow down, calm down, and cut down on something. So I will give you a minute to create your own sentence, and at the end of the lesson, I will go through them. Okay, thank you very much. Cut down my main power switch. Yes, very good. You can cut it down. Okay. And let's move on to the next phrasal verbs. So really other verbs with preposition down. So before we talked about down is getting less or destroyed, but there are more than these phrasal verbs. So for example, break down. So like I said in the introduction, the first meaning of breakdown is to stop working, let's say, machines, cars, and as well relationships as well. So the car broke down and I had to phone for help. So the car stopped working, or their marriage broke down after only a few months. Break down, to stop working the relationship. There is another phrasal verb that is not on today's presentation, and that is break up with somebody, to break up the relationship. But you could also say break down. Another phrasal verb is close down or shut down. These two have a similar or almost the same meaning, and is to stop doing business. So if I say, there used to be a shop at the end of the street, it closed down a few years ago. So they closed the shop, they stopped doing some business. You could say, it shut down a few years ago. So close down or shut down. Next, very important and very useful phrasal verb is let somebody down. It really means to disappoint somebody because you didn't do what they hoped or what you told them to do. So if I say, you can always rely on Paul, you can always trust Paul, he will never let you down. He will never disappoint you. Let down somebody. So if you disappoint somebody, you let them down. Or somebody let you down. So somebody disappoints you. Next one is turn somebody or something down. So we said turn down music already, and we talk about refusing. Refuse an application or offer. So if you study the examples, I applied for several jobs, but I was turned down for all of them. I was refused. I didn't get the job. So turn down somebody means to refuse the person. Or another meaning, or another sentence, sorry. Rachel was offered the job, but she decided to turn it down. So she decided to refuse the job. So there is not only turn down music, but turn down somebody as well. And the last phrasal verb I want you to focus on is write something down. So really write down or write something down is to write down on a paper physically. Something you need to know. So information, you could say, if you're on a phone, I can't remember Tim's address. I wrote it down, but I can't find it. Or, hold on, I need to find the paper and I want to write it down. So write down the address or even write down a list. So take a moment, go through those. Break down, stop working, close down or shut down, stop doing business, let somebody down, disappoint somebody, turn somebody down, refuse somebody, write something down, physically write on the paper. If you have any questions related to these phrasal verbs, now is the time to ask. If not, let's move on to do a quick exercise. So I want you to look at the pictures. For example, number 1. There used to be a tree next to the house, but we cut it down. Let's look at the second picture. There used to be some shelves on the wall, but does anybody know the answer? I took them down, or put them down, you could say as well. Number 3, the ceiling was so low, he couldn't straight
up.
He couldn't stand up. Stand up straight. Remember, stand up and sit down. So that's the opposite. Stand up and sit down. Okay. What about picture number 4? She couldn't hear the radio very well, so she Turned it up. Very good. Let's look at the number 5. While they were waiting for the bus, let's look at the bags on the ground. What did they do with the bags? They, very good. They put their bags down. Number 6. A few trees in the storm last week. A few trees fell down in the storm last week. So what about number 7? We've got some new curtains, but we haven't yet. So something we haven't done yet. Think about the phrasal verb to use. But we haven't put them up. You could say we haven't put the curtains up yet. So we didn't put them on the wall. Lisa dropped her keys, so and there are 2 phrasal verbs I want you to find.
Bend down.
Bend down, very good. And
what did you show?
Picked them up.
So pick them up. Sorry.
Pick them up. She physically took them from the floor. Okay, pick them up. She bent down and picked them up. Very good. And let's do one more exercise. And I want you to complete the sentences using the following verbs that you have, and match it with preposition down. So we already have first sentence. I don't like this picture on the wall. I'm going to take it down. What about second sentence? The music is too loud. Can you
turn it down?
Turn it down. Very good. Turn it down. Number 3. David was very angry. I tried to
calm him.
To calm him down, or I tried to calm down David. This was the topic of first lesson dedicated to phrasal verbs. Some of phrasal verbs are separable, so we can insert the pronouns, so like in this sentence, him, in the middle of main verb and the particle, but some of those are inseparable. Most of them are separable, so you can insert the name or the person or pronoun between main verb and the particle. Let's continue with number 4. Sarah gave me her phone number. I
wrote it down on a piece of paper.
Very good. I wrote it down. Number 5. I promised I would help Anna. I don't want to disappoint her. So remember the phrasal verb. Disappoint somebody, let somebody down. So,
let down. Yeah.
I don't want to let her down, or I don't want to let down Anna. So disappoint somebody, let somebody down. This is a good phrasal verb for you to remember. And let's finish the number 6 sentence. I was offered the job, but I decided I didn't want it. So let's use the verb turn. So I turn it down. I refuse it. So if you look at the sentence number 2, turn it down as a music, as a volume. But in the sentence number 6, turn something down is to refuse something. And I have some few more phrasal verbs with preposition up. So bring up means to introduce something in a conversation or topic in a conversation. So in a phrase, I don't want to hear any more about this matter. Please don't bring it up again. So please don't talk about it more, really. Bring up a topic. Come up is to be introduced in a conversation. So some interesting points came up in our discussion yesterday. So they appeared in our discussion. Come up. To come up with an idea is to suggest or create an idea. Sarah is very creative. She's always coming up with new ideas. So if you create or you produce an idea, you come up with something. Or we could say, she came up with a new advertiser. And the last one is make something up, is invent or create. But you are creating in your head and it is not true. So there is a difference between come up with something is to create an idea, but if you make something up, you are inventing something that is not true. So in the phrase, what Kevin told you about himself wasn't true. He made it all up. So he is fooling you. He's lying to you, really. So these four are very good as well for you to remember. Bring up a topic is introduce a new topic. Come up. Okay, so they come up. So they something is introduced in a conversation. Come up with something or with an idea is to create an idea, and make something else is invent something that is not true. So really lie to somebody. Please, if you have any questions, now is the time to ask. If not, I would like to say thank you very much and go and visit our website, and you can do the exercises on your own.